Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. You're probably aware that the number of Ukrainian troops killed in this war between NATO and Russia, or Al Capone and Russia, has been a secret since last year, February 24th, right? Well, not anymore. And I wonder why now they come out and tell us supposedly the number of Ukrainians killed by the Russians. Is it because this is a sign that these guys are dropping Ukraine like a hot potato? And they try really to support some other causes around the world. You know what I mean? Is this the limit? Well, maybe all of the above. Let's look at this article coming from Ukrainska Pravda via The Economist, and they cite supposedly US officials. Now, be careful about the number here. Ukrainska Pravda, right there. Today being Monday, the 13th of November, 2023. US estimates Ukraine's military death toll at 70,000 people. The Economist. Personally, I don't think it's 70,000 people. Now, they're going to tell us how many were wounded as well, but I don't think 70,000 is the number, and I will explain why. The Economist magazine, citing data from US officials, has claimed that at least 70,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed during Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. At least, so that means 70,000 and up. Could be 5 million. 5 million is, up at least. It's more than 70,000. So I like when these guys say at least. Well, I have at least $5 in my banking account. Does it mean I have $6? $5.01? 5 million? All of the above are true answers, because every of these three answers, all three answers qualify as at least $5. So when they say 70,000, at least 70,000 Ukrainians, that means everything 70,000 and up is a good number. If someone comes and says there were 5 million killed, that 5 million qualifies as at least 70,000. Correct? Correct. So, I don't like this kind of things because you either know it or you don't know it. You can just say, I think about 70,000. Based on what? You must have numbered, 1, 2, 3, get the information, put over there and find the approximate total. But I understand the weaselship here. Now, it says that a story dated 12 November as reported by European Pravda. This is a source. Details. The article focuses on the changing labor market in Ukraine as women take on men's work while the latter are drafted into the army. Okay, they were drafted. It doesn't mean that they died. The article focuses on the changing labor market in Ukraine as women take on men's work while the latter are drafted. Yeah, but you're drafted doesn't mean that you're dead. Anyway, let's see. And I'm quoting, American officials estimate that at least 70,000 Ukrainian soldiers have died in the war and that up to 120,000 more have been wounded, the article said. The story says the war has turned the lives of countless Ukrainians upside down and has also affected the labor market. Around 4.8 million people lost their jobs almost overnight when Russia attacked Ukraine. The employment rate is estimated to have fallen to 18.4% in October this year from over 30% in the spring of 2022. So, all right, so the unemployment fell to 18% from 30%. So that means they were better off before the war started. They were worse off before the war started. 30% unemployment versus 18. One survey found that 17% of Ukrainian workers have changed their jobs since the beginning of the war. Hundreds of thousands have been called up for military service. In October, UK Defense Intelligence estimated that Russia's losses, okay, they know right here, In terms of killed and severely wounded soldiers amounted to up to 190,000 or up to 290,000 if the wounded who can resume their service after recovery are taken into account. And then it says here that in August, New York Times reported, citing American officials, that the total number of wounded and killed Ukrainian and Russian soldiers is estimated at nearly 500,000 throughout the year and a half of full-scale war. Well. I have a lot of questions here, obviously. Do you remember when it was that study by BBC and another media outlet in Russia? Remember that one? And they found about 30,000 Russian being killed or something. Remember that one? I covered it in one of my videos. What about that one? Did they lie? So these guys find this number, which I think is under the real number, and I will tell you why. First, they are crying that the Ukrainians and some Western weasels are crying that Ukraine is running out of personnel. With 70,000 people, you don't run out of personnel. How many people do you think were in the Ukraine forces when this counteroffensive, when the Russian unprovoked attack occurred? 2 million people? 3 million people? 1 million people? 5 million people? I don't think there were like 300,000. Now, if you have 300,000 and you lose 70, I understand that one. But if you have, let's say, 3 million and you lost 70,000, you will not claim I'm running out of troops, do you? And they have a constant conscription or mobilization. They always get back people. I don't think they have much more to pick up from. Why? Because they started with the medical exemptions. They said, well, you can't be exempted from going to the front for these medical issues anymore. That means we open the door to get more of the people that had exemptions. So that's just one. The other one, they start pushing and pressing the Western countries to look for possible defectors, or how people that didn't want to fight anymore, or just avoid it, cross the border. So 70,000, I think, is way too low. I can't tell you a number, but in order for an army of, let's say, 5 million people, 4 million people, 3 million people, and to say that we are having shortages or problems with the personnel, you must have lost 500,000, 500,000. Now, that's other ways to find that out. The problem is these guys keep a lid on the number. Why? Because there's too many. Otherwise, they will report it as, 5,000 people. You're not very embarrassed with 5,000 troops being killed. But when you have 500,000, then you zip it, obviously. So the Ukrainians never said how many died. The Russians claimed, but I think their claims are also, like that. Nevertheless, the fact that now The Economist comes with a number supposedly from the US officials, citing data from US officials, it's a big deal. I will not hear the Ukrainians now telling the Economist magazine or the Americans, hey, how come we want you to change that or hide it. Remember when Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European whatever, I don't even want to mention that, because she's just appointed and voted by some idiots, when she said that, was it more than a year ago, that about 100,000 Ukrainians were killed? In an hour and a half, or not even 2 hours, the Ukrainians already called and said, hey, you got to change this, you should not say anything. And what did they do? They retracted that. They took it out from the site. It was already published on the European Union site. They took it out. Why is that? Why don't you let them say whatever they want to say? Well, because they were lying. Why didn't you bring your number? Well, anyway, I don't think it's 70,000. As I said, I think it's 500,000, 500,000, and wounded, 200 200,000. They will get, I mean, you don't run out of troops with 70,000 and 100,000 being wounded. Because when you say wounded, what? Wounded, incapacitated, not being able to return to the front, and even if you take it, it's 200,000 people. I don't think that Ukraine, with 39 million people population, they could have a, if they conduct a general mobilization, so you do, let's say, 40,000 people, 40 million people, let's say. 40 million people, let's say you divide it in two, and you divide it again in two. So it's at least 10 million people, at least 10 million people able to fight the war in a mobilization the Ukrainians will have. Because let's say you do it in two, and then from two, you say these are the children and old people. And then from old people that don't qualify, right? Above 60 or whatever the age is. And then you have men and women, which is about 20 million left. Now, if you say that men will be the ones because women take care of kids and blah, 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 you divide it in two, roughly. So you get to 10 million people able to serve in the Ukrainian military, as the Russians would have at least 30 million to fight if they conduct a mobilization. Why? Because they have 145 million people population. And roughly you can get at least potentially 30 million, 30 million. And here at least 10 million. And they died 70,000. Well, that's a tragedy, but it's not a, we ran out of troops. No, I don't think so. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.